Hi everyone, this is Bonnie in the Gerton's Birding Department, and today we're going to be doing a quick segment on preparation of your bird feeders. And this is really important, and cleaning out your bird houses. Now with this weather, I know a lot of people are saying, what's the point of it, because we're getting snow and rain in. But because of the bird flu, the avian bird flu that you've been hearing about on the news, it's really important now more than ever to clean out your feeders. Now here's one, and shame on me. This is one of my feeders. Now I haven't had it out for a while, but you can see it needs a major bath. And this is how it looked when it was bought new. And this is how it's never gonna look this good, but you've got to be sure that you clean the baffle as well as the inside of it. Now because of the bird flu, the DNR, the Wildlife Rehab Center, the majority of these different organizations are saying to use bleach. I'm not a big advocate of bleach because a lot of people don't rinse it thoroughly and let it dry out in the sun or dry it overnight. So if you don't want to use bleach, then think about using distilled vinegar. That's a great way to clean it. It keeps the plastic clean, it keeps glass clean, and do it with hot water. And if you have a really filthy feeder, then make sure that you let it soak a good couple hours, and all these little bits and pieces are going to come off. Now with the bird flu being the way it is, it's important too that you clean up any of the birdseed that's under your feeders, because that can not only give them the flu when you've got larger bird populations, but it can also give them salmonella, and you don't want a bird to get sick, and that's from bad seed that's moldy, and birds have gone to the bathroom on it, and they don't know about using the bathroom tools, so they just go where their feeders are. So try and remember that. For some of you that have long tube feeders, you might want to think about getting a big long brush like this, because some people say, well, I just can't get it into the port. It's just my arm doesn't go down long enough. There are long brushes that you can use, again, to scrape in and get all those bits off. If you don't have a large feeder, and especially with a hummingbird feeder, this is really kind of slick, and this has got a little brush to get into the food ports, which is really important. People are saying, gosh, well, you know, when I clean up my hummingbird feeder at the end of the season in October and November, I open it up and there's black mold on the food ports. And so it's really important when you clean your hummingbird feeders to get into the food ports as well. And we even have little brushes too. Some people use toothpicks. You can use a toothpick if you want, but sometimes toothpicks, they splinter and they break off. But this is where mold comes in. It comes in around the food ports, and you want to make sure you get your brush inside there to get that nice and clean. And even the ant moat, for some of the hummingbird feeders that have ant moats where you put water to drown the ants, if you have a separate ant moat, make sure you get that cleaned out. Again, hot water, distilled vinegar. If you want to go the bleach route, you certainly can do that. The DNR and Wildlife Rehab, there's two different schools of thoughts on this regarding the bird flu. It's the poultry farms, where chicken flocks, where there are large birds that are congregating together. Not so much the birds themselves. However, Wildlife Rehab just had a bald eagle that was brought in last week with the avian bird flu, and a great horned owl. So it's something that you want, if you see a sick bird, especially if it's a small bird, the Wildlife Rehab will not let you come in, because it's very contagious. So just be aware, if you see any sick birds around your feeder, what you should be doing, contact the Wildlife Rehab Center. They're in Roseville, Minnesota. They are a great resource for you. So again, cleaning these are really critical. If you've got a bird house, make sure, especially something like a wren house, some of them are real easy to clean. All you have to do with this, easy peasy, just lift the lid off and then get out all that nesting material. Now, wrens usually wrens usually have 2 broods a year, and chickadees, the same thing, and they both compete for this type of house with this small hole. House sparrows cannot get in here. That's why I love wren and chickadee houses. They don't encourage sparrows. Some of you might have a wood wren house, and you're gonna end up taking a Phillips screwdriver to open it up. These are really easy to just clean it out, because if you don't clean it out and they're nesting, they come back in May, then you're gonna have spider eggs in there. Some mice even climb up in trees and they nest in there. So you really wanna make sure that they're cleaned out. Again, distilled vinegar with hot water, let it soak a little bit. Even for wooden ones, just spray it. and that's all you have to do. Even if you wanted to use bleach, it's just something you want to make sure that you make that it's drying out. It's got to dry out, or it can be really critically bad for a bird. So that's basically it. I know we've had a really bad spring so far, and people are saying, where are the hummingbirds? I'm glad they're not back yet. But get everything ready. This is a time of year when you should be cleaning out your houses, most importantly now, because of the bird flu. Stop in any weekend. I'm here if you have any questions at all. I'll be happy to discuss it with you. And then look for us again. We're going to be discussing some further ideas for you coming up soon. Thanks.